Welcome everyone to visionrecordingstudios.com and here on our YouTube channel. Today I'm going to do a video on another utility plugin. Utility plugin meaning that these are plugins that are not just EQs and compressors. These are kind of specialty plugins, things that you it's great to have in your toolbox that you may not use all the time, but every now and again you're going to want to pull these plugins out and treat your tracks or your session to make things sound better. So I love these little types of utility plugins because they're usually affordable depending on which company you're buying, and again they're just a nice little extra set of tools to have. This plugin is called the Monster Boost by a company called Plugin Mix. The Monster Boost is a plugin that adds coloration, some harmonic distortion to your tracks. Can be used on everything from bass to drums to vocals, guitars. Today we're going to look at it on some drums, some bass, and some electric guitars and show you what it can do. Plugin Mix is a wonderful company that I like their plugins an awful lot. They're very, very affordable, and they have an array of different types of plugins. Go out to pluginmix.com and check it out. You can, if you like their Facebook page, they will give you an activation code for one free plugin. So you can go out to their website, read all about them. Go to their Facebook page, like them, put your email address, and they'll send you a free license code. You go and pick any one of the plugins you want. This particular plugin, I think, was $39. Most of their plugins range from about $39 to about $69. They also have what's called a VIP bundle, which I believe you can get all of their plugins, which is somewhere around 40 or 50 plugins for like $300 as of the recording of this video, October 2014. So this is a great plugin, and I have a few of other of their plugins, and we're going to take a look at this one today. So here is the Monster Boost. We're going to take a look at it on some drums right now, but before we do that, let's just take going to bypass this for a second, and let's just take a listen to this little piece of music. This piece of music is a piece of music I'm working on for a television show. It's a real simple session. It's got a drum kit, guitars, 2 electric guitars and a bass. That's it. No vocals. The drums are being done by Easy Drummer 2, which is a great little program, which I'll do a video on not too long from now. Really like Easy Drummer 2. Great for songwriting and putting together professional sounding drum tracks very quick. So I really enjoy Easy Drummer 2. Anyway, so let's close this. So here's just a little taste of this piece of music so you could just kind of see what we're dealing with. This is without the Monster Boost engaged, and the only other effects I have on the guitars, I have some Slate Digital stuff, and on the bass, I have a tape machine, and I have a virtual console. So take a quick listen, and then we'll take a look at Monster Boost. Okay, so just an instrumental piece of music, no big shakes, 2 guitars, bass, drums. So now let's take a look. You were listening to that with, let's just solo the drum kit here so you can take a listen. Let's pull up our Monster Boost. And this is right now, it's bypassed. So Monster Boost has a bunch of different factory presets in it, as all of the Plugin Mix plugins do. I'm using one called Warm Booster, but if you look at the factory presets, you can see they have stuff for acoustic guitars, bass drums, kick drums, electric bass, female vocals, harmonical mix, harmonics boost, loudness booster, male vocals, all kinds of different presets. And typically, depending on what I'm putting this on, I'll just throw it on something, like I'm putting it on a drum bus. So I'll put on the Warm Bus Booster preset and then just tweak it from there. So I'm going to play the drums a little bit, and I'm going to enable this, and you can hear what this kind of does to the overall drum kit, and then we'll go through the dials and kind of see how this reacts to the drums, okay? It's bypassed. Okay, so you can instantly hear that it gets louder. It gets a little bit more clarity. The top end kind of opens up. Things like the snare, you hear a little bit more of the crack. You hear more of the shaker. It sounds like there's more room, like it's compressing a little bit. So let's take a look at what this does. So I'm going to play this and start playing around with the dial. So just to give you kind of a lay of the land here, you have on this left-hand side here an input gain to control the input signal coming into the Monster Boost. On the right-hand side, you have an output. And the one thing you want to try to be careful of as you're boosting things is you'll turn down your output so you're not clipping, which I've done a little here, and we'll adjust it as we go. In the center here, you have a big knob called the booster, okay, a min and max. You have a warmth knob, which we'll take a look at, see what that does. We have a dial here for harmonics and then a dial for detail. The warmth kind of controls more of the low end, the detail a little more of the high end, and then the harmonics. Not really sure how to describe what that does, but we're going to listen. And then we have some different modes. We have a natural mode, a lush mode, and a mellow mode. So what I'm going to do is let's start with the natural mode. I'll start playing with the boost, and we'll kind of see what that does. The boost is going to kind of turn up the volume more than anything else. So let's start with it all the way down here. And go over to the warmth knob. Kind of controls the low end. Let's go over to the harmonics. Okay, so it sounds like the harmonics kind of, as I turn that up, you kind of hear more of the body of the snare, the details, obviously the top end and the hi-hat. The booster turns up the volume, and the warmth kind of controls the low end. So let's play this back again. And let me just go through the different modes so you can kind of see what that does. Here's the natural mode. Okay, so the modes, as you move from natural to lush to mellow, it tends to get a little bit darker, a little bit warmer. I shouldn't say darker, a little more fat sounding, a little warmer sounding, especially when you go to the mellow mode. Listen for the snare in particular and the hi-hat. I'll bypass it again. That's with it off. So really what this does is this brings a lot, it brings in some volume obviously, but brings a lot more fatness and just a bigger sound, you know, and that's what this really is. It's a monster boost. It's to boost everything. It's to make it warmer and fatter. And this is a great, I use this a lot when I'm using it on things like MIDI drums. You know, when I write music for television and film, I don't use a real drum kit. It just takes far too long. I have to churn out music very, very quickly. So if you're using things like BFD, MIDI drum loops, or you know, Easy Drummer or Steven Slate drums or Addictive Drums or any of those types of programs that are MIDI based, this is really nice. The one thing that I love about Easy Drummer or Tune Track stuff, even the older program, the first Easy Drummer version, is the amount of grooves and the amount of fills and patterns they give you is great. The one thing I didn't like about them, and even though it's improved in the newer version, is the drums don't have that mojo like Steven Slate drums SSD4. They sound amazing right out of the box. I think twice as good as the Easy Drummer stuff, but Easy Drummer 2 especially is a great songwriting tool. It's much easier to put drum loops together and songs together very quickly. And one way to enhance those drums is to use something like this, and this is great. So I use this all the time when I'm doing things with MIDI drums because it just gives that extra mojo, that extra fatness. Okay, so let's take a look at this too on a bass. And let me just, let me just close this and see what this does for bass guitar. And let's just pick a bass preset and just see what that does. Do they have a bass preset? I thought they do. They have synth bass. Oh, electric bass. Here we go. Let's just, that's a bass drum. Factory presets, electric bass. Okay, let's take a listen to what this does. It's bypassed. There's with it enabled. A lot fatter. Let's play with the dials here. That's a lot more bottom end on the warmth. Top end on the detail. Let's click through the different modes. Let's try a couple more presets and just see what it does. We'll bypass it. Turn down the volume a little, see if we can get the volume to kind of match. So when you match the volumes before and after, which is always a good idea when you're playing with plugins, so you don't, and I talk about this whenever I'm dealing with training people with using plugins, is you want to make sure that you gain stage the plugin, meaning that before and after enabled, disabled, you want the overall volume level to be the same, so you're not tricking your ears into thinking, oh, it sounds louder, so it must be better, if that makes sense. So at least at first, and if you want to boost the volume once you kind of like the overall tone, so really listening for the tone here. So if you listen for the tone before and then after, you can hear that it gets a little thicker sounding and a little bit more round, and that's because of the warmth. The harmonics dial doesn't seem to do much on a bass, at least not on this particular track. And the detail seems to bring out more of the fingers. So let's just take a listen before and after. Listen to the bottom end and the thickness. Instantly fattens up that bass. Now if you want to raise the volume, you just turn up the boost a little. So again, before, and it's a big difference, kind of thin. So again, really nice on bass. Again, quick, easy plugin to use. You just slap it on there, turn a few dials, and you got something that sounds great. Can you do this with a compressor? Can you do this with an EQ? Of course you can. But this is a quick way to do it. And these plugins were designed to be, you know, for people like me and some of maybe you watching the musician, you know, who isn't all into the technical, just wants something that sounds good really quickly. This is a great plugin to have for that. So that's for bass. Now I have not tried this on electric guitars yet, so let's try this on electric guitars. I'd be interested to see what it sounds like. So this is, we have two guitars, one panned hard left, one panned hard right, and we're going to put it on the guitar bus just to see how it kind of behaves. It'll be interesting to see what it does on guitars. I've not used this on guitars yet. There we go. So there we go. Why I was doing that, guys, I don't know, but let's do a before and after. I can already hear it gets a lot brighter, but let's just see what it does. I'm going to turn down this volume a little bit here to boost. This is before. So on electric guitars, at least these distorted electric guitars, in mellow mode, it seems to take the edge off the top end, which is kind of nice. And the detail gets a little bit too edgy for me. The harmonics dial seems like it gives some little bit of mojo there. And then the warmth actually, rounds out the bottom end. So I don't know that I'm a big fan of this on electric guitars, at least not these particular tracks. I find it better to be on bass and on drums. But let's give a listen again before and after and see what you think. And then we can do it in the context of the mix, which is probably the way to do this. You always want to do things in the context of the mix, not necessarily soloed. But let's just see what this sounds like when we put it in the mix. How does it help those guitars? I'll start with it bypassed. Okay, so when you put it in the mix, it sounds a lot better. And that's why I always say you want to do things in context. We're barely moving the needle at all. We're just boosting it a tiny bit, but just listen to how the guitars just kind of jump out of the mix a little bit before, when they're bypassed, it's a little bit sitting back in the mix, nice and warm. I mean, this was a pre-mixed track, so I've already mixed and worked and treated these things, so that it sounds pretty good on its own. This kind of just, bumps it a little bit, gives a little bit more push. I like what that's doing to the guitars, okay? So I didn't like it in solo mode. I like it a lot now. So it just kind of cuts the top end through, but it doesn't get really brittle, and you can use the different modes. Let's switch to the different modes and play with the warmth and the harmonics and see how that helps. Okay, so when you bypass it, when you listen to it for a while, you bypass this plugin, and the guitars kind of drop in the mix a little too far back in the pocket. This kind of pokes it right through, which is kind of nice. So that is the Monster Boost by Plugin Mix. I urge you to go check it out. You can demo them for free. You download all the plugins as one big package. Then you can pick and choose and demo them if you look. I'm looking in Studio One here. I have a plugin mix folder, and every single plugin they have, I have. It's part when you download it, you download everything, not just the plugin that you purchase. And then to activate it, you'd come up here to this thing. You go, oh, I already activated this. Sorry, but you click on this the preset button, and there'll be a choice here to activate the plugin, and that's how you do it. When you first open it up here where it says version 3.03, that will say demo. And I think they give you 30 days. And I'm not really sure. The demo works fully functional. I demoed a few of these before I purchased it, and it worked. There was no cutouts or time limits from what I can tell. But read about it on their website. I think it's a cool little utility plugin to have. Again, that's the Plugin Mix Monster Boost. Check it out, download it, throw it on some tracks, and see how it helps. So I hope this was helpful. Again, thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Again, thank you for sharing. Continue to share our channel with others, please. It really does help. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of this video, and there'll be more videos coming soon. Until next time, this is David from VisionRecordingStudios.com. Take care, guys.